Hey everyone, a landing page is a great tool for guiding your potential customers to a specific action like buying your product, signing up for a class, or booking a service. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a full landing page with WPBakery Page Builder while explaining how the builder works, plus some tips and tricks along the way. And landing pages can sometimes look completely different from the rest of the site, so you don't want to be constrained by the theme styling. And you don't have to be. You can build your landing page from scratch. So let's do exactly that. Okay, so we have to start in our WordPress admin panel, and you need to have WP Bakery already installed and activated. I'll leave a link to the installation tutorial in the description. Oh, and by the way, you can get a hosted version of WP Bakery on IndieStack, which is a cloud hosting service, and I'll leave more information about that in the description too. All right, I think we can start building. All right, so you know what you're in for. This is the page that we're building, a simple landing page for an accounting service company. Just a couple of sections, the features. We've got a little toggle here, which looks pretty cool. And contact information, buttons, that's it. But that's all you need from a landing page, right? So this is what we're building. Time to jump into WordPress. Now that you're in your admin panel, you can go to Pages and add New. We have to start with a brand new page. WP Bakery Page Builder here. If you didn't know, WP Bakery has two editors, backend and frontend. What we're going to use today is the frontend editor, but note that the backend editor is there as well if you ever need it. Okay, the first step right here is that you can choose to build your page starting with the layout defined by your theme, or in this case, a totally blank page, so you can start from scratch, and that's what we're doing right now. You can start with a template, but that's not what we're going to do today. We're going to add an element. So the basic structure of every layout in WP Bakery is a row, and then the row is divided into columns, and then you put content elements inside of those columns. So let's do exactly that. Let's start with a row. Oh, to remind you, this is the first section we're building here, the logo and the button. Now that we've added the row, here at the top, you will always see the row and the column controls. What you can do for the row is edit the row, choose the layout. You can add a column and clone it. For the column, you can edit it and add to the column. So let's quickly look into the edit options for the row. So we want to change the row stretch options from default to stretch row. So what's going to happen is that the row is going to stretch, but the content is going to stay boxed in exactly how we want it to. We're going to do this to almost every single row in this layout. And of course, there are more options, but we're going to get back to them a little later on. Another thing that every single element has is design options. And what we can do here is add a margin border padding, a border style, radius, a background color, and a background image. As you remember, there's this green little background image that we have in that landing page, so that's what we're going to add right here. All right, now when that's done, this row has only one column. We need to split it in two. We can do it right here in the layout settings. You can choose all sorts of variations of how the columns are located in the row. You can enter a custom value, but we just need to split it in two, so we're going to choose this. All right, and we're finally ready for content. To add elements to your columns, just click on the plus icon right here, and these are all the elements available to you to use in your designs. We needed that company logo there, so we're going to use this single image element. As an image source, you can use an uploaded image that you've uploaded to the media library, an external link, and featured image. We're going to upload an image ourselves, but as I've prepared for this video, I've already uploaded it right here. So, but you can just drag and drop any image from your computer right here. And here we can choose the size. I would suggest always creating the image that you want to add to your page to the size that you want it to be already, not to resize it here. That's just, I think, best practice, but you can change the sizes, as you can see, to these theme-defined sizes, but you can never really know what exactly that is, but you can use pixels as well, but full is always the best way to go. And click save to see all the changes. Yeah, that's another thing. Always save changes and you'll see what's going on, but you'll get a hang of it once we go a little bit further. Next thing we need to add is a button right here. And you get a lot of styling options here from a lot of styles. Oh, the button is hidden right here at the moment. So this is how it looks by default. We're going to change up some of the styles here. Let's go with green, large, alignment. We are going to put it on the right, save changes, and that's the button that I showed you before. Okay, we're done with the first section. Let's move on to the next one. And we've got this lady text button. Let's move on. So another row. And let's do the same thing as we did before. It's gonna be a stretched row. Let's give it a background color. And split it into 2 columns. Easy enough, right? For the right, again, image, the same thing we did with the logo. I have it already here. You can add any image, any size. Let's save changes to see how it looks. As you see by default, it's thumbnail size that's defined by the theme, and I want it full size, just how I made it for this layout. And I want it to be aligned in the center. Okay, for the other side, we need to add some text finally. So we're going to use the text block element, which opens the tiny MCE editor. Let's steal the text from myself here and just paste it without any formatting so I can show you what we can do here. This is going to be our H1 right here. This is where you change the headings for your text. And for now, that's it. Save changes. Here's our text. So now we need to add a button, and we don't want to add a separate row, right? We want it to be in this row as well. So you have to just look for this little plus icon here, and that will add another element below in the same row. The same button. Also, our lady is floating a little bit at the moment, and we do not want that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but we can fix it. So here in the middle of every element, you'll see the element controls. So let's click on edit. That's where we can adjust everything for this particular element. Let's go into the design options. So a little trick here is that you can give this image a negative margin, and that will bring the image down. So you can play around with the values of pixels. Remember that you're going to see the changes on the page once you click on Save Changes. Okay, and that brought our lady back to the ground. Good. And I think we're done with the first section. So let's move on to the second one. What we have here is a nice section of simple, modern feature boxes that are used everywhere. So starting with a row as usual, and same as before. Let's stretch the row, give it a color. This time it's gonna be white. We're adding a text block here. Again, copying myself and my work. Okay, this one's gonna be H2. If you didn't know, it's good practice to use H1 on the page only once for the main title, and there are many more headings you can use if you need them. Okay, that is our little text here. Let's create another row where we add those feature blocks. So, again, nothing has changed. Stretch row, change the color, and we're ready to go. This time, our layout structure is going to be 3 columns. That's easy enough. Let's start with the first section. First thing we need to add is an icon. There are a bunch of icon libraries available here in WPBakery, so of course you can check them out, see which one fits your layout. I'm just going to go with Font Awesome and look for the icon. You can search, you can browse through them. I think it had over 2,000 icons. Yeah, almost 3,000 icons is what you can choose from. So once you've got your icon, you can style it. We'll go with the green, but you can choose a custom color here as well. No background shape. We're going to make it large and aligned in the center. Here we go. Here's our icon. Again, if you want to add something in the same column, look for that little yellow plus icon. Next, we need to add the text. Here we go. Okay, let's center all of this and bold it. So I want this particular text to be a little bigger. And there are a couple of ways to go about it. The easiest is always just choosing a different heading. But the thing is that the size of the headings are defined by your theme. And what that means is that you cannot control it. The size, you cannot choose the exact size. Although sometimes themes allow you to change that. For example, if you use the Visual Composer Starter theme, which is the theme that I'm using, if you go to Appearance and Customize, you'll be able to adjust all sorts of things within the theme. But one thing is styles for all headings. So everything from font family, and I think it has all Google fonts available there, every single one of them, and font weight, style, everything. You can do that. But some themes don't allow you to edit the heading sizes, so there's another trick you can do. You can switch to the text editor, and here, just add a little bit of extra code for font size. Say 24 pixels. And by the way, if you don't know what to write here in the text editor, you can always ask ChatGPT, and it's an industry secret. Yeah, for example, can you add to this code snippet to change the font size to 24 pixels? I just copied the code snippet where the text was, and as you can see, it just added the code that was needed. So that's also something you can do. All right, now I'll quickly create the rest of the feature sections here, and it's gonna be all the same. So we're just gonna fast forward a little. And we're done. So you might now notice that our section looks a little smaller than the one in the example. And we can easily change that. And let me show you how. To create some space in between the row, you can do that inside of columns and elements as well. But this time we need some space like under our content, maybe above it. Let's just see how it looks. What we can do, let's go and edit the row, open the design options, and change the padding. So here we can definitely give some padding here at the bottom. Maybe a little less padding here at the bottom. Yeah, and maybe a little bit at the top as well, just to give it some space. All right, I think that looks better already. And we're ready to move on to the next section, which is this one. It's gonna be simple, so I'm gonna just speed through it, okay? Let's start with a row. Stretch row. Color the row. 2 columns. Okay, here's my image. I know that this one is going to be a large. And text block here. That's going to be another H2. Save that. And to the most exciting part of this section, which is this frequently asked question toggle element. This is how it looks. So we give it a title, get a nice description here about the feature. And as you can see, the same tiny MCE editor, so you can adjust the text however you want. Save the changes. All right, almost done. Again, a thing that we've been doing before, content position, middle. Oh, and let's give this section a little space to breathe as well. Maybe 50 pixels. Maybe a little more. Let's do like 100. Okay, way better. Okay, now let's move on to the next section, which is going to be a little bit different than the previous one because, let me show you what. Let's add a row. And instead of changing the row stretch, we're not going to do it because we want the row to be a little container. So, what we are going to do is change the color to this deep green here. But as you saw from the example landing page, we want the corners to be rounded, and how we can achieve that with a border radius, say 20 pixels, and we got our rounded corners. You can go more, you can go less, just with whatever fits your layout. All right, and from here, again, let's split it into 2 columns, and we can start with the map. This is just an element, just a Google Maps element. Here you can add any location. Here are the steps of how to do it, but we're just going to leave this as is for now. And let's move on to the other column, starting with a text block, which is actually where we're going to stay for this whole time. Here is the main text. Let's start with that. That is yet another heading. All right, this is where the fun begins. As you can see from the example, I wanted to spice up this contact box with little icons, but there isn't an element for that. So you guessed it. I asked my personal assistant, ChatGPT, to help me out with that. So what you can do, what was the first one? That was Office. So I asked, can you write me an HTML code snippet that will add a white location pin icon to my WordPress site? And that's exactly what ChatGPT provided. So this is the code snippet. I think it's using Font Awesome. So let's just copy it. Go back to the handy text editor and paste the code snippet. And that is it. Although, yeah, and then we take the text office to be in the same line here as our icon. And that is it. Although for this particular case, when the text is white, I like to just change it to gray just to see it better. We're going to change it all black to white afterwards. So now this is the location right here. Just regular text. Save the changes for it to appear. Don't mind the gray. We're going to make it white a little later on. Now, let's move on to contact. You guessed it. I asked ChatGPT again. This time I asked to rewrite the code to show an envelope icon instead. And of course, ChatGPT never disappoints. And that's exactly what I got. Again, I want the text to be in the same line. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, so let me fill out the rest of the box. The same drill. We're just going to make it a little faster. All right, let me clean up the spaces here a little bit. The spaces seem to be a little off, so let's just take those out. Save. Let's go back to the visual editor and make it white. And okay, that's how we add little icons here. So another thing we can do here is the same thing that we've done many times before. Let's center the content. But as you can see, the content seems a little tight, right? In the box. So again, we can give it a little space to breathe with the design options and padding. Let's give it maybe 50 pixels on each side. That is way better. And we're done with this. So the final touch is a little text block that we're going to add here with the last call to action button, just so people know that they've reached the end and they have to book now. Otherwise, there's no other way than going back in the page a little and booking there. So that's still H2. Let's click save. The same old button that we've been using. Okay, and the last, final touch is the copyright information that every page needs. And here we go. Let's center it and let's make it a little lighter gray as well. Don't forget to save the page. Let's see how it looks. Okay, here's the page that we just built together. A simple, straightforward landing page with just the right amount of information to get the message across. At this point, I hope that you know the basics of WP Bakery and you're able to get started with your own landing pages or any page that you need. So you can get WP Bakery at wpbakery.com, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye!